forward to be able to introduce some of the people who made the film. We have director Yorgos Lanthimos. We have stars Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone. That's bourbon, right, in your ice? Yeah, I figured. You would need it after a movie like this. So yeah, I saw this a while ago, and I've been thinking about it since. It's a very striking movie for in lots of ways. Yorgos, I'm curious, kind of first off, what drew you to this? I mean, I heard someone say to me the other day that this feels like your most kind of overtly political film. Do you see it that way?
Which phone am I looking at? I guess it's more direct in a way, but it just turned out to be. I don't necessarily think about it very consciously when I choose what I'm interested in. So when this came along, which was basically a gift because Ari Aster and Lars Knudsen developed the script initially with Will Tracy, who wrote it. So at one point I received a script that was, already incredible. So it was I needed very little encouragement to get involved.
Emma, you've obviously worked with Yorgos a few times now, quite fruitfully. So I'm sure that was part of why you said yes. You're like, let's just do it again. But like, I saw something in Bugonia that felt kind of in conversation with The Curse, the show you did with Benny Safdie and other people. Do you
Nathan
feel? Yeah, sorry, it was blanking. No, I meant someone else. But do you feel like you have a kind of? Are you drawn to political kind of TV movies right now, like as an actor?
I mean, I guess that's a hard question to answer because I'm so drawn to people making things that it's in combination with that, I guess, that I think the story of The Curse and Bugonia are obviously very different, but I understand what you're saying in terms of the way our world is now and kind of the kind of people who are taking advantage of people in society, but being a hero or a good guy in their own minds or not. So yeah, that was. I think there's obviously a lot of stories that are kind of covering the insanity of our world right now. So maybe, but also I think a lot of people that I love to work with. Not a lot. I mean, I'm literally just talking about Nathan and Yorgos, I guess, in those two. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that your character sometimes says things where you're like, well, she's kind of right, and then sometimes says horrible things and does horrible things. And Jesse, the same is true of your character. I mean, he's deeply sympathetic in some ways and deeply unsympathetic. He says things that you can kind of applaud, and then other things that are terrible and does terrible things. Jesse, like, how do you, as an actor, play that sort of ambiguity, that moral ambiguity? Do you find it hard to not, at least internally, kind of make some sort of assessment of whether your character is good or not?
I mean, we can't all have it all right, We've all got our blind spots. I think this might sound like a cop-out, but the script was honestly so rich and vivid and well told that my first experience reading the script, I probably did in those first 10 pages naturally make some judgments, like I'm sure a lot of people watching make early on, but because of the way Will sort of rolls out information and is constantly showing you more layers of both Teddy and Michelle, and giving you Teddy's history, very quickly I sort of saw something at his core that was really damaged and troubled and traumatized, and also desperately wanted to matter and to do something and like find a place to put all of these very intense feelings, and he found that in Michelle, you know. It's like, here, that's where I put it all.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for all the times that the film is edgy and dark and funny in a kind of grim way, it's also bitterly sad, it's moved, it's poignant. I think maybe for me at least most of all, Yorgos is at the end when we have this montage of, well, all of humanity is dead. How did you film that? Was are there actors lying fake dead in as many locations as it seems there are, or what is the kind of secret behind that sequence?
Yeah, no, there's no secret. We have.
You killed them all.
Yeah, they're all dead. It was quite challenging, and actually, some of those scenes were shot by a second unit with Daniel Wolf, who's a great filmmaker himself. We discussed how, the style of it and the ones that we would do in our schedule, and then at the same time they'd go and do, a couple of those for like 4 days, I think, every day. So it was, we needed a lot of people to achieve that, both dead and alive. I mean, I guess it was a sequence that, we tried to avoid the cliche of showing all the, monuments around the world and things that people would recognize, and just try and make it a little bit more intimate, but still have a sense of world and humanity. The other thing I can say is that it's interesting to see how people, come out of the film, some of them feeling hopeful and some of them feeling really bleak. It's really, it tells a lot about, how you feel, or about how you think, or what phase you're in your life, I guess, to have an ending like that.
Yeah, I think depending on your mood or outlook, you could laugh or cry or both, or I don't know. But I'm curious, Emma, what it was like to be in the mindset of this movie, like while you were shooting it. The bulk of your scenes, you are in some sort of physical duress. You're, being chased, held captive, pleading for your life, fighting for your life, face covered in white. It's not paint, but it's something. Are you able to kind of, they wrap for the day, does that stay with you, like as an actor? Like how is it easy to kind of get in and out of that, or does it kind of, you just have to live in it for the whole shoot? That sort of condition of stress and I guess discomfort.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't think I live in it the whole shoot. But I think, I mean, this one in particular was interesting because every time we were moving on from a scene, we had another big scene coming up. Like there's so much dialogue and there's so many things that we were just, I felt like I was then just kind of cramming where we were going to be next. So that was sort of the relentless part, is making sure that we could really, do the 10-minute scene at a dinner table, and have that feel free and good into like the monologue or whatever that was. So that was mostly what I was focusing on. But no, I don't know that I've stayed as
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the opposite would be sad and unfortunate.
Yeah.
I was saying to someone from Focus before we got on stage that watching like the dinner scene, for example, I was like, I want them to do like True West off Broadway. Like, because the dialogue
feels
scenes
like
are
a
so,
play.
it does feel like a play, exactly. But there also, Jesse, is a ton of like physical stuff that feels more like a play would be maybe sort of more blocked out. But I'm curious, like you have a lot of scenes of fighting, struggle, all that. Was there a particularly difficult sequence to film in that respect?
I don't know. It
it was all, the exact type of thing you're looking for as an actor that's also layered, and the tone is so varying and all that. But I would say, in terms of physicality, there's a certain point in the movie, probably after the dinner scene, it just occurred to me that like anywhere Teddy is going, he's just like sprinting. And then you're shooting something, and then okay, you arrive at a certain point, but you've been running, so then you have to get your blood rate pumping, your heart rate pumping again. So I would say, yeah, dinner scene on was a lot of that.
Yeah, it's impressive. I think another really big impressive part of this film is the third lead, Aiden Delvis, who I believe had not acted on screen before Yorgos. Can you talk to me or tell to us about a little bit how you found him and what shooting with him was like as a first-time actor?
Well, I knew from the beginning, after Jesse and Emily got involved, that for that part I wanted to find a non-professional actor, which is something that I do in all of my films. Sometimes more roles or less, or bigger ones or smaller ones. But obviously this was a very important part. And so we worked with Jennifer Venditti, that actually worked on The Curse. There's another connection there. And she's very experienced in street casting, and find people that are not experienced or have studied acting. And as we started looking for someone, I kept thinking that the character kind of felt to me that he could be neurodivergent. So we started looking into that direction, and we found Aiden, who's autistic. That's how he prefers to be referred as. And he immediately stood out, and he was one of the early people that we saw. And then we kept looking and looking and looking, but then we always went back to Aiden. So we actually met him for the first time. We went to LA to test a camera, a VistaVision camera that we shot the film on, which is the only one working that exists in the world, which is slightly quieter than some others. So we went with Jesse and Emily to test the camera, because I wanted them to hear it as well and see if it would bother them while they're doing their scenes, that they would be listening to this the whole time. And actually, they can speak to it, but I think it kind of became a comforting sound for them, covering the silence. But anyway, when we did that test, we brought in Aiden as well, and that was the first time we met him in person, and so we shot a little bit of film on him as well, and we fell in love with him, and from then on, it was just a matter of getting to know Jesse. They did you can say that they did a screen test together.
I was just gonna say, I think the three of us were more nervous to meet Aiden than Aiden was.
Way more.
Yeah. Aiden walked in and just kind of like, what are you
whenever
jokers doing?
he's around, I'm like, oh my God, Aiden's here.
He's he's only 19 now. He's a very self-assured, self-aware dude, knows what he likes, very, very confident and interesting, and loves horror movies. And if you say something that doesn't make sense, he will let you know. That doesn't make any sense.
No filter.
No filter.
If he gets bored mid-sentence, he just walks away. Like, okay, fine.
It's just great to have that barometer of truth when you're shooting something. So it's just such a pleasure to get to know him and to have his presence on set.
Especially in a movie that's about trying at least to cut to some core truth about life in the world. Was it nice for the first time, I think on screen, to speak your native Andromedan?
It was incredible. I mean, it was so comforting to not have to pretend.
How did the language come about? Like, what was the process for developing it and learning how to speak it?
In the script, it said that we're speaking in another language and it's subtitled, but it didn't, say what those words would be. And so Yorgos had the idea. Our sound designer is just brilliant, a man named Johnny Byrne. He's done incredible films, and he took the language in English, like what the lines are in the subtitles in English, and mixed it all up and turned it into a kind of recurrent language. Like, I mean, it does track memorizing it. It does track. We are, it's not just gobbledygook. So maybe this will be something that people can learn, like a Star Trek language.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm already proficient, or well, I think I am.
Well, no, you are, but we're not supposed to talk about that together. They can't know we know each other.
Sorry. I also have to ask, in terms of like small, wonderful details of this film. It's been used in the trailer. Whose idea was the Chapel Roan song? Was that? I mean, because it makes it feel. It makes it feel so present tense in this great way. Was there any sort of persuading you had to do to get that song in there, or was it just like itself?
You were super into that. Yeah.
Yeah, I chose it.
I chose it.
I chose it.
I chose it.
And you said okay.
I literally chose it, but whatever.
You're a bigger Chapel Roan fan than Emily?
No, I was just researching.
Oh.
I played the song.
I had just
and she
done
went like, that's it.
I had done a talk show with her about 3 days before. I'd been obsessively listening to the album for a solid month, and came back and said, "Oh my God, it should be Good Luck, Babe. She just sang the song on the show that we were just on." And you said, "Okay, that's a good idea, Em."
Okay, I don't want to go against the emperor.
Well, and little did you know it would be cut so well into the trailer. Like, it fits so perfectly. This kind of.
It also, a lot of the lyrics in that song, yeah, exactly. Like, you'd have to stop the world just to stop the feeling. It's kind of
The bait is humanity.
I mean,
In this
right?
case. Good luck to all of us. Well, sadly, I think we are out of time, but thank you so much for your time and for this beautiful, strange, scary film. Please tell everyone you know to see it. And
please tell everyone Good Luck, Babe was my idea.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
We could just stay in our seats until the cast is left, please. Thanks.